may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, guys, y'all absolutely destroyed the video yesterday. I owe y'all a massive thank you for going down and killing that like button, getting us recommended to some new listeners, getting us some new subscribers, and one step closer to our 1,000 subscriber goal. So I just want to give everybody a massive thank you, and we are going to continue to do the same thing today, where we are going to be talking about some waiver wire starting pitchers. Now, let me know if y'all want me to talk about some closers. Let me know if y'all want me to talk about some guys that could potentially help you out with some saves. But for this, we are going to specifically keep it with the starting pitchers. And I'm going to go through and talk about the players that are rostered in the least amount of leagues, then going piece by piece till we get to the shallowest leagues. So with our first player, he is going to be rostered in only 24% of leagues. And this is going to be Madison Bumgarner, who, yes, I understand. Guys, I know obviously he's nothing close to what he once was. I know that he had a very bad past 2020 season, and that's what a lot of people looked at, and that's why a lot of people let him fall in fantasy drafts to the point where he wasn't even being drafted. I mean, this is a player that's had an impressive 2021 so far, and he is still only rostered in about 1/4 of fantasy baseball leagues. Now, he is 31 years old, pitching for Arizona. Now, with Bumgarner, I will say I'm surprised that people have not been more willing to go out there and make him a priority ad. I'm surprised that we haven't seen this 24% roster number go up to like 60%, because it's not like we had season after season after season of horrendous performances by Madison Bumgarner. Now, I know that, I mean, it's been a while since he's been elite. It's been a while since you've had that whip under 1, but still, I mean, the most recent example that we have of a full season by Madison Bumgarner was in 2019, so only 2 years ago. And here he pitched over 200 innings, and we know that that is something that's nearly impossible to find. We know that if you have a pitcher, I mean, if they're going anywhere close to 200 innings, at the very least, they are worth in consideration to have on your roster. Now, what they're going to be doing with their ratios, what they're going to be doing with the strikeouts, that's what we are concerned about. But in the case of Bumgarner, there in 2019, the ERA was under 4, the whip was at 1.13, and the strikeouts were about the same as innings pitched. So overall, this was about an average season where he had an insane amount of innings pitched, and we know that's valuable in fantasy. We understand that you're not going to win a league by that, but that should raise your weekly floor if you can depend on that one starting pitcher every single week. Now, in 2020, this is the season that he really fell off. This is the season that he made a lot of people just lose all faith in him. I mean, here he only pitched 41 innings, and I want to remind everyone, guys, 2020, very weird year. Can't take too much away from it. Small sample. These players, a lot of them didn't even know if they were playing. I mean, we've said this time and time again. So with his 2020 season looking like so much of an outlier compared to what we've had throughout his entire career, I kind of just want to throw it out the window. I kind of just want to go, you know what? Let's ignore what happened in 2020. We have so many valid data points that we can look at previously, and no, the most previous data point in that 2019 season isn't close to what he was when he was elite, but we still know that it's fine. I mean, it's good enough, that 2019 year. Now, this is where we get to 2021, and no, he has not had a fantastic 2021. That is not something that we can say. I mean, the ERA is actually over 6, but there are some signs for us to be a little bit excited here. We see the whip going back down. The whip is under 1.3, so that's a step in the right way compared to what you had in that 2020 season. You also currently have more strikeouts than innings pitched. And when you have that long stretch of elite play, the most recent full example of a full season that we have is not bad. I think that Madison Bumgarner, you should at least be picking him up to see what happens over the next few weeks. I mean, if he comes out and he just continues to walk batters, he continues to let guys just round those bases, then sure, you can drop him back to the wire. But I think you should at least pick him up to see if he can go back to that 2019 form. Okay, so now let's get to our next pitcher. This is going to be Kyle Gibson, who is kind of in a different boat here where in 2021, he's actually been very impressive. I mean, in 2021, the ERA is down there at 2.3, the whip is down at 1.17, and he has about as many strikeouts as innings pitched. But if you take a step back, if you look at the past 2 seasons, it's been very ugly with Kyle Gibson. Now, he is rostered in 44% of leagues, so he's going to be available in about half of them. Pitching for the Rangers, he's 33 years old as well, so that's something I want to point out. I mean, that's why I think that this 2019 and 2020 season, they're going to be a little bit more important in this case because you're not expecting a pitcher to all of a sudden be 33 years old and then finally figure it out. But, I mean, if we go to 2019, what's disgusting here is not that he has as many strikeouts as innings pitched. Obviously, we're fine with that. Not that the ERA is at 4.84, which, yeah, that's a gross number. But more importantly, what I hate to see, and I really, really don't like it, a whip at 1.44. Obviously, if you're anywhere close to this range, regardless of how many strikeouts you're having, regardless of how many innings you're going to pitch, you're simply not going to be valuable in fantasy. And we saw the same thing in 2020 where he pitched 67 total innings. Here he actually had less strikeouts than innings pitched. He had an ERA over 5, a whip at 1.53. So with Kyle Gibson, despite him being rostered in more leagues than Madison Bumgarner, I mean, he doesn't look like he is a better option on the waiver wire. I know generally you see the roster ownership percentage and you go, okay, this player is probably going to be a priority ad rather than the other guy. But no, this is not the case. Where with Kyle Gibson, yes, go pick him up because he's had a hot start to 2021. And if you can ride this out and possibly get a few weeks of production, then sure, that's going to be worth it. But the large sample shows us that he's probably not going to be someone that makes a significant impact the rest of the season, but he's worth an ad regardless. Okay, so now let's go over to a very confusing player. Let's go over to Alex Wood, pitcher for the San Francisco Giants. Now, he's 30 years old and rostered in about half of Yahoo leagues currently at 46%. Now, the problem here is we really have no 2020 or no 2019 season that we can look at with Alex Wood. I mean, if we want to go back to the most recent example that we have of a full season, we're going to have to go back to 2018. And if we're going back to 2018, might as well throw in 2017. Look at both of these years combined, where in 2017, he pitched 152 innings, an ERA under 3, a whip at 1.06. In 2018, he pitched 151 innings, an ERA at 3.68, a whip at 1.21. Now, in 2019 and 2020, we're looking at very limited samples. I mean, in 2019, only 35 innings pitched, and 2020, only 12 innings. So really, you can't look at those seasons to guess off of anything. And even if you did, I mean, the whip was sky high. I mean, it was over 1.4 in both format. But anyway, here in 2021, at the very minimum, he's been good. I mean, we can say he's been great. He's pitched 12 innings so far. His whip is sitting at 0.5. He has as many strikeouts as innings pitched. He has an ERA under 1. So this is going to be a scenario where we go, you know what? We really don't know what to expect. But this is another case of, hey, maybe you have a prospect that you're holding out hopes on. Maybe you're having that last roster spot where you're just hoping a player turns into something. And maybe you can use that roster spot slightly better if you go out there with an Alex Wood instead. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. Of course, if y'all did, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton. And I'll see y'all with the video tomorrow. I want to give a big thank you for everyone joining the flock. Devin Strom, Alejandro, Mark, Jared, Caleb, and IV of Lean, Randotron, Micah, Larry, and Tyler.